Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the Vault, episode 509 actually. What Recession Part 2. Definitely look forward to doing this episode today. This is definitely going to be one of those episodes where we talk about some things. Definitely looking forward to discussing the current state of the market. We're definitely going to talk about the Family Foundation and Trust Workshop coming up. Definitely going to be going over permanent saving strategies, private family banking, and lowering liabilities in many different ways. Just to let you know, Christian at trustchristian.com. We've always done RSVP through email directly. We have intimate relationships with everyone that comes to our workshops. We work directly with everyone, even though it's information as well. There are trainings, there are private informations that we are going over. So we definitely have great relationships with everyone that comes to the vault. We'll definitely say this will most likely be a sellout event. We've actually had people reach out from years now, actually, for this particular workshop. So this is going to be one of those ones that we can already say it's going to be a sellout event. And we've always had really great attendance to the workshops. It's just getting back post COVID, getting back into the swing of things. This is going to be one of those moments that you want to definitely be back in the room again. We actually did a workshop earlier this year in January, and we actually brought in a third generation private family foundation trustee. So, we're doing our best to bring in high level trustees that have high level transaction experience in the private. They have private equity experience. They have, equity with, or they have, large amounts of assets under management. When you talk about which large amounts, we should definitely be talking 10 million, 25 million, 50 million plus assets under management. And so some people may find that far fetched, but that's what is in our sector. And so, one of the best things we've heard recently from the public was he's a guy said, if you want to be a great investor, you have to associate with other great investors. And so clearly, by us bringing people like that in the room that are third generation foundation investment trustees and current active investors right now, these are the type of caliber of people you always want to have around in your environment. And so, even with the private financial advisor that we have, Victor, come in, when you have someone that has private international experience, particularly in international trust, when you talk about international asset management, those things are done from a very strategic position. And so, definitely look forward going over those things. It is going to be 9 to 5. It may seem, oh, well, can't get it all in at 9 to 5. Traditionally, we don't. It does lead to us working together. This is just one of those entry level things where we have families fly in, want to get formally standard operating procedures for trusteeship. We've had it happen for years, so definitely look forward to everyone that comes to the event. Feel free to RSVP, get your ticket. It is limited seating. It's never one of those things we need a bunch of people there. We're very strategic in who we work with, so definitely look forward to the families that reach out and individuals that reach out. Christian at trustchristian.com, and we'll go forward from there. We'll see you on September 23rd, 9 to 5. And look forward to you getting trustee training. This is actually an entry level door to trustee training. It's almost like a consultation before getting into training. It is something that we actually are doing with people actually coming to the event. We usually do a consultation with them before the actual event. So, this is definitely a great opportunity to get in trustee training or find out more about trustee training and actually get in the environment with other trustees in the environment as well. A lot of times people, this is one of the biggest issues trustees have in the environment, ladies and gentlemen, is, whoa, I went private. I'm first generation wealth. I don't have anyone in my family that's wealthier than me. We sat in front of a young guy yesterday that's a millionaire before he's 30 years old. Well, what do you do when you're first generation over, you have for sure more than $1 million dollars, and You're first generation wealth. Your family may be first generation immigrants to the States. What do you do? Where do you go? Where's your watering holes? This isn't a $2,000 event. So where are your watering holes where you're associating with not just people in your industry that are making tons of money, but other people that are moving in more of a business capacity and say, hey, it's not just for now. We want to make sure that there's something after and later. So we look forward to seeing you all at the workshop. Appreciate Mississippi for tuning in live, listening to replay. We got Mississippi for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you tune in live, listen to replay. Feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. We're going to go ahead into it. What recession? Well, we already know what recession. The recession was supposed to happen 2 quarters ago. The recession was supposed to happen first quarter of 2023. Didn't happen. It didn't happen Q2 now, where we're seeing earnings report. We're in earnings season and in states for Q2 earnings pretty much from March to June. And from what we've seen, it's been once again, the market's almost back at an all time high. The market's had a rally. We can clearly see that when you talk about trusteeship, this is the best time to be in trusteeship, ladies and gentlemen. It's the best time to be in the business place. A lot of people they pushed for it to be at the end of 2022. It didn't happen, and now we're back at this moment where are you going to continue to think negative and think that it could possibly be negative in the market, or is there a hey, I'm going to take advantage of opportunities that we knew were going to be available right now? Are you taking advantage? Were you able to take advantage, or are you still in the position right now to take advantage of the opportunities that are upon us in the marketplace? Not necessarily with complete discounted prices right now. The prices have definitely price has been priced back into a lot of assets. We're starting to see value come back, and so once again, let's go ahead and hop into specific industries. Oh, let's go into this real estate play. Oh, real estate was supposed to go into a recession. Last time we checked, real estate damn near was in a recession for the first 2 quarters of 2022. It was looking very dismal in real estate, and people were still pointing doom and gloom. Oh, real estate's going to be garbage in the States. And now we see real estate pretty much, they say, oh, has real estate reached the bottom? Has real estate really reached the bottom right now? We see once again real estate where there's less houses for a lot of things, whether it's inventory or even people selling. Interest rates are higher. People are not trying to get out of a mortgage that was, 2, 3% and go into a 7, go into a 5, go into a 6. So what are we seeing? We're seeing there's just slowdowns that have happened. And so, sure, there's been slowdowns in manufacturing. There's been slowdowns in many different industries. Well, the services have picked back up. There's been more revenge travel, more revenge spending than we've seen in the past 2 years. That's a hard indicator right there for the public to hear. Oh man, well, first of all, if the market was in a slowdown, the consumer would have slowed down. The consumer's been robust. Once again, you could say, oh, well, what about the labor market? The labor market, they say, has been robust. There's been a massive layoff. Massive layoffs have happened. Tech companies have cut half their staff. Oh, we had 3,000, now we're at 1,500. Oh, we went from 6,000, now we're at 3,000. These are companies that are large companies, ladies and gentlemen. Cut half their staff. Banking sector. Oh, we're cutting staff. Big banks have cut staff. So we saw a massive layoff situation, and the labor market is still resilient. Labor market is still robust. People have found jobs post 2021. People have found jobs 2022. People have found jobs 2023. They try to say there's a disparity in the labor market and unskilled labor, and somehow unskilled labor is still purchasing things. The consumer market is being lifted for sure in the luxury middle class, whether you know it or not. Luxury middle class are your Gucci brands, your LVMH brands. These brands have done very, very well post pandemic, even during the pandemic. Just the amount of spending that people are buying on middle class luxury goods. middle luxury goods, $60,000 and up income earners, $80,000 and up income earners, predominantly 80,000 and up, and for sure $100,000, $150,000 and up consumers are definitely spending for sure on pieces in their clothing, and then we're also seeing things change in the way we're seeing things. So over at the vault, to give a market sentiment for sure, what recession part two, we could definitely see that the middle income earners are transitioning into experience based things. When we see lower income, they may not be there yet, but there could be a push to where they're going to focus on more experience based things. When you think about that term, just think about that in a lot of business models that are not completely giving an experience that is memorable, or an experience that someone is going to want to keep reliving. It's an experience now. The market has shifted completely to experience based ventures. You know, it's like when you went into a restaurant as a kid, and they gave, when you were a kid, they would give you the sheet of paper and you could color on it while you were waiting for your food. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about experiences. And so people, when we say even experiences, they're more so now gathering in bigger groups, or in groups, as opposed to just doing what they did pre-pandemic, where two people would travel, or two people would do something together, or four people max. Where now you're starting to see three people plus events go on, and three people plus people doing things together, because there's more experience space going on. So we definitely can see that over in the marketplace. That's why you probably see a lot of the AI stuff popping up, and just the whole tech push is because when people are now experiencing things, they're using technology. They're making trips through the technology. They're planning their experiences through the technology. So you see technology still rearing its head. Technology still right here at the forefront of the game. So tech really has had probably one of the bigger rallies this year, and no one wants to be happy about it, because maybe it's an American dominant play. Sure, we saw a few semiconductor companies, make a run here early this year. Nvidia definitely made a run, still has made an incredible run. And so when you see these type of companies making runs, they're just gobbling up market share for the simple fact that they're a tech play. You're dependent on Nvidia's products in your cell phone, or your computer. You're dependent on Intel products. We're not promoting these products, not financial advice or legal advice, but it is one of those things that we definitely want to go over. That these companies have definitely taken a rally to the upside for sure because of that technology. Oh, there's not a lack of PC demand. They try to put in their earnings report recently. Oh well, there's no lack in what do they call it? What are they calling this stuff nowadays? Uh, and they're trying to say there's no delay in technology, but whether you know it or not, the technology is having to be built. They've tried to open up the crimp in the hourglass for getting technology built, and not having everything be outsourced and overseas in the states. And so the technology boom in the states has just gotten right back to where we could almost say it's pre-pandemic, post 28 2008, and then just technology just kept moving in the right direction. Where we are now, where a lot of things are done mobilely. People are paying for things through to just literally their cell phone. They're not even carrying credit cards. So the market has shifted. What recession, though? How is there a recession if we're seeing technology going to rally? The market's back at a rally, close to its high, and we're already halfway through the year, and we're ready to go in August. Could be the slowest month of the year. Now, how is it right before the slowest month of the year, the market is right there at a ready to go into an high? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we love to know what we know at the vault, and what you are to know as an investor is that what do they say? You buy low, sell high. At one point, investors are going to take their profits. So we don't see a recession, but we do see some things have slowed down, ladies and gentlemen. Even what is that, like clothing? Clothing definitely has had its hit. You all can look at the numbers when you look at clothing, how people are buying discretionary goods such as clothing. Like we say, dealing with the luxury pieces, those are companies that are booming. They're booming. Clothing's booming. I mean, well, luxury pieces are booming. Clothing, lower end clothing, go look at their numbers. Kind of been a little soft. We're going to see what Walmart and Target post because they're still where people buy clothes, but they're still more of a retailer that kind of gives out discretionary goods in a way in which we definitely want to see what their earnings are going to be like for sure. So definitely want to see what their earnings are going to be. But ladies and gentlemen, we talk about a recession, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be real here. If we even want to talk about housing boom again, we could literally jump right back into housing and say, okay, where is housing right now? And housing necessarily hasn't taken off, but there's been when you have to blow air on the fire, there's been a fire that's been lit again in real estate. And when we talk about that, we're talking about in all areas. And there's just been a demand for it. And so we could definitely see going in even to fall, they're going to try to take advantage of getting this a strong third quarter in the housing sector before it gets cold outside and they can't build and they have to deal with winter. But outside of that, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a lot of real estate projects that have been delayed and a lot of things that have been delayed for the past few years. And at one point the demand has to meet the supply has to meet the demand. The demand is so great right now for real estate. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you know it or not, they say that the housing in the United States is actually underdeveloped for new housing. Not for existing housing, but new housing. If people don't sell their house, they're going to have to build new houses. Where they say the amount of population, they should have more houses for those people that are supposed to be going into buying a house at one point in their life. Well, people are had babies. They want more space post pandemic now. Definitely. So we're definitely looking forward to seeing people at the workshop. We definitely gave people quite a bit of notice, doing our best to give people notice in advance for sure. Uh, we look forward to seeing you. The address is there. It's no like same day tickets, but definitely RSVP. Christian at trustchristian.com. And this is just going to be once again, just a great event for you to see that there are other trustees, and this not a recession for anybody. It's just business as usual, and whatever GDP is reported outside, there's a GDP reported outside, but your internal company is gobbling up market share and doing its job right now. And even in the family foundation situation, that's one of those things that investments are made in perpetuity, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about recession proof ventures. Colleges aren't going out of business. Even though they didn't have students go to their classes, they still had enough to keep those schools up and maintained. And that's because the school's making proper investments, ladies and gentlemen. And so getting in those rooms, finding out how to be a part of those investments that don't fail, that are recession proof, as people like to say, whether there's a case or not, then let's talk about it. Let's have those genuine conversations. So look forward to seeing you at the workshop. We already know there is no recession. The third quarter has to be comparable to the second quarter just because right now we're already in it. And they've already reported record numbers, even in the airlines, with their numbers compared to 2019 when things were at a height. They've already reported numbers that were better than Thanksgiving for 2019, which was record setting numbers in the airline industry. So if the airline, and we're talking now where the numbers have been reported for international travel is up, not domestic, but international, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be fooled. Oh, well, is it Bidenomics? Ladies and gentlemen, there is a demand for American oil. You can't be mad that oil just got the $80, which we predicted 3 months ago. We knew it was going to go to $80. Why not? There's something going on in the world that is demanding that people buy American oil. The price just went up, Americans. Do you think the price is going to stop going up, Americans, when you guys are at a height for travel in the height of vacation season? Oh man, we might see $4 gas again. Wherever region you're in. Oh, $5, $6, whatever gas. Oh yeah, you're going to see it. It's July. It took a month later for gas to go up. But yes, gas is going to go up. Maybe for sure during August. Why not? It's the height of travel season. You thought you were going to be slick and travel during August. And that's when everything's more expensive right now. It's not going to be cheaper. They like to think people are going to go on vacation. And this is once again where you're seeing the wealth disparity happen, where middle class, the upper middle are definitely traveling. They want experiences. They're going to see family. They have the capital. They're in excess capital positions. Whereas you're seeing other people stay local and are utilizing more public transit. You can look into these things and see people are definitely looking for experiences locally. So they're willing to use public transportation to get those experiences. So there's a demand for what they tried to say it was a shortage in a labor market, like working at like a Starbucks or like some type of fast food restaurant or something. There was a public sentiment that, oh, people aren't working and people don't want to work. So you see these signs in these restaurants that are normally the job might pay minimum wage $15. Now they're over here putting a sign in the door, working, hiring $22 an hour. And we saw that for a solid year. And those people have been hired and people are working. We never believed that people weren't working, ladies and gentlemen. If you believe people weren't working in the United States, that was a lie. Why? Because they keep talking about how the labor market's so resilient. They keep talking about how the consumer market, they keep spending. Well, people can't spend money they don't have. They're spending money that they kind of have. And sure, we can go into consumer debt, and we haven't seen, ladies and gentlemen, have you seen a huge default? Have you heard a bunch of them talk about the default for consumer debt? It has not been a preponderance of consumer debt crying out. Oh man, the consumer debt's got really crazy. Okay. Probably back at normal levels pre-pandemic where people were just using credit. If because they kept saying, well, the banks have tightened up recently, so they shouldn't be lending, and oh, the lending's not hard is not as easy as it was. Let's hop into that real quick. So let's go over to this whole regional bank situation too, because this is definitely something that they keep trying to talk about in the public and say, oh, well, this is what's the thing that caused the recession or what it was. It's going to be a problem. Where is it at? Oh, we hear matriculations of companies. We hear these what do they call them? They're not even called a whistleblower. They're more like a horn blower because they're just blowing their trumpet from the top because they're able to get on the news and say things that are not completely accurate. Oh, there's still some little, there's still a cancer or a virus inside of the banking sector, but then they're reporting good numbers right now. Oh, well, that's not in the bigger banks. It's in the regional banks. How many more regional banks are going to go under? Have you heard any recently go under? No. Oh, you're going to hear about it. They're going to pop out of nowhere. Sure they are. They're not, ladies and gentlemen. That market has been quelled. The fact that a few big players went under, everybody else knows they either have to tighten up or it's going to be an ugly ride. Who wants to go out of business, ladies and gentlemen? No one wants to go out of business. The executives that just work for those regional banks that went out of business, some of those executives literally lost their job and are hired with new companies right now. And they were the executives that the company went under their leadership. And they're working for other companies now. So it's not like, oh, they're the worst person in the world. Well, clearly, we see these people went to another company and they were a part of a shim sham. Something that you wonder, how is it that you were not able to hold the company under or do a deal where you were able to stay afloat? They weren't even able to pull off a leveraged buyout. Well, we're a regional bank. So the regional banks definitely, when you look at the numbers of the banks that those particular banks that went under, they had a large amount of capital in specific industries, and so they went under because those industries they were cyclical, they were cyclically invested. They try to say it was a long-term play. Sure, you guys are very familiar how tech is going right now. You might hear about a company today and they're gone tomorrow. No one wants to know that some of these big companies won't be around in 15 years. Well, you guys know who IBM is? Do you know who GE is? These are companies that, sure, go look at their stock price compared to when they started. They're not where they used to be. Some of these companies just can't hold up. But as it stands right now, we see the bull rally going on. We encourage you to grab a bunch of wealth to the upside. We look forward to hearing from you all at the Vault Christian at trustchristian.com, coming to the workshop, being a part of Trustee Training. Uh, we already called it. What recession? We already called it. We easily called it. And now we're here in July. So we wanted to know, what makes you a wealthy individual? A wealthy individual is able to build wealth in a recession, in a good market, and in a bad market. Look forward to hearing from you all at the Vault. Christian at trustchristian.com. Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace and joy.